Hello, everyone, and welcome to Have a Chat. I'm your host for this show today, Judy Loche, and I'm joined by my vivacious, beautiful, and talented co-host, Veronique Arsenault. Welcome, Veronique.
Hello, Judy. It's so great to be back with you again, of course, although I do miss us being together in person.
I do miss us being together, and of course, we miss Audrey. She is so busy trying to play catch up with her hair salon, and I do feel sorry that she can't be with us, but work has to come before the taping, of course, but she will be with us down the road again, so everyone can look forward to her being back. But Absolutely. It's great to see you, Vero. Great to see our viewers with us for Have a Chat, where we're here in Miramichi, and I would love to hear what you have picked out for the quote this afternoon.
Absolutely. So, there's been so much going on in the world. It's been a very heavy world lately. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about choices, actually. And that's the quote that I picked. So attitude is a choice. Happiness is a choice. Optimism is a choice. Kindness is a choice. Giving is a choice. Respect is a choice. Whatever choice you make makes you. So choose wisely, by Roy T. Bennett.
That's a very appropriate, and it's all encompassing, really. It covers it all. And we do have that opportunity. I mean, some days I wake up, I'm tired. We're into this COVID-19 for so long now that one day sometimes just blends into the next. But we have to make that conscious effort when our feet hit the floor to say it's going to be a day that I can sort of pick myself up and get around the obstacles, or I can just make it an all-out yucky day, and you can feel that entire wave of negative energy, and it passes on to everybody. So I have my moments, but I choose to be positive and kind as much as I possibly can. And I know you do too.
Yeah. And it's, it's harder some days, as you said, exactly. And especially given, I think we're in week, 12 or 13 of, the restrictions and the, safe at home and all of that and all of those changes that we've had to live with. So, it gets kind of tired and heavy at times, of course. And just like you, Judy, I have my days, and sometimes there are 2 or 3 days in a row where it's, it's a little bit tougher to make that optimism choice. But yes. I think, as long as we can keep it in our heads and our hearts that we do have some choice in some of these things, we have some choices in how we feel. And although we can't control, all of the very heavy stuff that's going on in this world right now, we can control how much of it we consume, because sometimes I overconsume the news, and we can control, how we react to it. So.
I just like to pull one of those traits out of your list of, on that list of things to do, and that would be kindness, because it's a very little thing to be kind. It should come much more naturally than being negative to somebody. It's a lot easier to hug and smile than it is to put others down, and yet we're torn right now between watching the news and being enlightened and trying to see all that's going on around us, pushing that away, but yet we're trying to teach people to be kind at our level, in our own city, in our own home and community, because of the terrible things that are happening right now, such as the racism. There's no need of it. Basically, I'm just going to put it right out there that I have friends of many various backgrounds. I have friends that are not religious, that are spiritual, that are Caucasian, they're African American, they are perhaps indigenous. I have friends of all color, and that's what makes them all so beautiful, is that they're all so different. And I do not understand, I just do not understand, being an educated woman to this day, what color of skin has to do with anything or what anybody is about. It just boggles my mind that's even an issue, and such a terrible issue in the world right now. I wish somebody had the answer. I guess you're not born to be racist. You're taught, basically. So if we can teach our own children and those around us and younger generation that is to love and be accepting and to be all inclusive of all diverse backgrounds and all people, then we're going to be doing ourselves a big future for our future generation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, what's happened in the States over the last, few weeks and in Canada, we're seeing a lot of the marches as well and protests. And, it's really brought that to everyone's consciousness. And, and the death of George Floyd was difficult to watch. But he is just the most recent. And that's the saddest part, is that there have been so many before him that have died simply because of the color of their skin. And I wanted to talk, I'm glad that you brought up the whole, the racism issue, because, people talk about white privilege, and I think in general people get defensive when they talk about white privilege, because they think it means that if you're white, you have no problems. But I learned very recently what that meant, and it is simply that we as white people and that have white privilege, doesn't mean that our lives haven't been difficult or that we haven't faced inequality or struggles. But what it does mean is that we haven't faced inequality or struggles simply because of the color of our skin. So that is one of the things that we haven't had to face. It doesn't mean that life isn't difficult. It doesn't mean that, for me as a white woman, that I haven't had struggles, but it means that I haven't had to overcome that. And that's the whole notion around white privilege. It's not that our lives are easy. It's that we haven't had to overcome something simply because of the color of our skin. So it's been a big conversation for sure.
Yes, and I missed the show last week, and kudos for a wonderful show, and big applaud to Rachel Bernard and you for doing such a wonderful job. I enjoyed it so much, although I couldn't be there. I had to watch it later. But yeah, there's just too much going on in the world. That's why we have to focus. And we're going to look at our guests that we have coming on as a positive energy, which is so much needed. And so, yeah, there's a lot of heavy stuff. And that's why let's turn to something really happy and exciting that's happened recently. And that would be the CBC story that came out featuring the Miramichi Valley High School group and their bond with this Special Olympic athletes that have done so tremendously in our area, and that Veronique and I know personally and have a great interaction with. We've had some of them on our show to talk about all of their accomplishments, these young athletes. But so you can talk to the teacher, but just to follow up, it was the Adrian Clarkson Award for diversity that they received, and it was for all of Canada. I mean, that's just totally awesome.
It's incredible, and Anne McDonnell has been instrumental in that bond that they've formed. She is the teacher at Miramichi Valley High School that worked with her class, and they brought the Special Olympics Winter Games to Miramichi a couple of years ago. It was an amazing few days, and really probably one of the highlights of my life to be able to volunteer. And all I did was I volunteered at the snowshoe races. Like, I really wasn't part of anything, but I just loved every minute of it. And Anne McDonnell and her students have been absolutely phenomenal, and they continue that bond with the Special Olympics for New Brunswick. And so to see them win that Adrian Clarkson Award for diversity because of that story was such a wonderful thing.
We go from serious to enlightening on a happy note, back and forth. But now we have had another tragedy in Nova Scotia. Disturbing, actually, that just a few days ago, a young female, was attacked by her dog while out walking. And during that attack, it got really bad, and the woman lost her life because of it. That just puts a whole big lump in my throat. It just goes to show that you sometimes really don't know what your dog's going to do. And in this case, it was a pit bull, but they are known to be aggressive, but it's not a pick on the breed. It's just to say that this was a pit bull, and perhaps there were other factors that led this animal to attack its owner.
Yeah, and what a horrifying thing to come a jogger and someone else found her, and what a horrifying thing to see. Right? It's a sad story, and one of our great friends of the show, Darcy McLaughlin, has a pit bull, and he says he's the biggest baby he's ever seen as far as dogs go. So I will say that pit bulls, or the thought of a pit bull, does terrify me a little bit. I will be honest. You know, a lot of that has to do with, you know, the media and sharing the stories and you know how I've been conditioned to think about those dogs. But you know, it could happen at any time, and you know, it's a sad story that this woman died. And that her dog was responsible. The dog was also killed. It was hit by a car. And I saw an interview actually with the gentleman that hit the dog. He said he actually made a conscious choice to hit the dog because he saw that it was enraged.
Yeah. And it obviously was very enraged, and we don't know, and only the owner and the dog will know whatever took place, and they're both gone. But, you know, just for the fact out there, pit bulls do get a bad rep, and I know some beautiful pit bulls. However, it can be, their nature is known to be pretty, they're more, a little bit more aggressive, right? And a little bit more intimidating sometimes. But actually, Jack Russell Terriers and Chihuahuas are the most aggressive dogs, believe it or not. And because of their size,
I believe it.
Yeah, no, but because of their size, they just don't have that, you know, chance to take lives, thank goodness. And they're adorable as well. But yeah, they're top two as far as attack dogs go, which is really interesting given their size.
Well, and you're absolutely right. And I think, you know, I think part of what the problem is that pit bulls can get quite big, right? They can be a large breed dog. I know that one of our neighbors up the road here had a 120-pound pit bull. And so, but I have heard that I have been bitten by a Jack Russell. So, and they're vicious little dogs, you know, and I'm not generalizing the breed.
No.
You know, I'm not blaming the breed, but, you know, I have been bitten by a Jack Russell, and I have been, you know, growled at and nearly munched on by a Chihuahua. So I can absolutely vouch for the fact that they are an angry little dog.
You're my testimonial, girl. If anyone's looking at me close up on their screen, they're going to see that my eyes are rather inflamed, and it's not from crying at all. It's from sleep deprivation. But the main thing is now that it's allergy season, and I know I'm not alone when I'm speaking to this for our viewers, because June is very, very high with the pollen distribution, particularly pollen. For me is a huge source of my anguish. And actually, it's worse in the morning and again at night, because the warm rising in the evening causes it up, and then it goes back down again at night, the cooling down. But people are alarmed because sometimes, not myself, but other people with allergies will say that they were sneezing or coughing in public, and people were like, oh my gosh, you know, stay away. I hope they don't have the COVID. And that would be a very normal reaction, because of the signs can be sneezing and sniffling and symptoms such as that, where they're extreme, obviously, from one to the other. But just to clarify, if anyone is having this sensation with pollen activation, it's also known as hay fever. And you can take an antihistamine, of course, but there's also a quick little remedy, which is 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar with 1 warm, or not warm, but semi-warm glass of water, and a little bit of lemon juice. And you can do that 2 to 3 times a day. And that is supposed to diminish your symptoms. So just a little tip there on hay fever.
That's amazing, because I know so many people who struggle this time of year, and you know, I've joked about when I go out and I've got my mask on, and for whatever reason, I know it's psychological, but as soon as I get into a store, I start a dry cough, and there's nothing wrong with me, but for whatever reason, it's you know, like I said, it's psychological. I think because I know that I can't cough, I start coughing, but. You know, and you get those looks. So I know that people who are struggling with allergies, I know that fear of like, oh my gosh, I can't go out and cough in public because people will assume that I've got the COVID.
There you go, to my point. And getting back to your quote there, Nick, here I am scratching and going on with my allergies again. But well, I guess we won't have time to go back to your quote. I was going to make a referral to the quote, but we won't. I want to say that tomorrow is somebody's birthday, and we just have to get that out there before the show's over, because we're paying tribute to your mother. It's her big day tomorrow. And as my husband's sister, she is one of the most beautiful people I happen to know, and that is the lovely Jacqueline Arsenault, celebrating.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about Mom's birthday, I will say. I won't say how old she is because she'll kill me. But you know what? We've had such a tough year to overcome in the last 7 or so months because of Mom's health challenges. But she is the strongest person I know, and she's come through this with flying colors. She's just about 100%, and we're really going to be
Good.
celebrating, a wonderful milestone that we've hit her birthday, and that she's happy and healthy.
Beautiful. Happy birthday. And I want to say happy belated to my sister Jennifer over in Barcelona. She's too far away, but the heart can't go too far when you love somebody that much. So we're always there in spirit. So with the COVID, so we know that in the Restigouche area, the Campbellton area, there has been a large cluster of cases with COVID-19, which is most unfortunate. However, all we can do now at that point is to wish them all well and safety in that area. We ourselves have to remain vigilant in hand washing, social distancing, passing on the word to do everything we possibly can to stay safe and stay well. So here's to future numbers going down. That's all we can pray for. So anyway, you'll want to stay tuned for our very, very special guest, Mr. Jason Cyrus. He is going to be one of the best guests we've ever had. He's a hypnotist, and he is from Minto. Don't go away. Coming right back. Hello, everybody. If you're just tuning in to have a chat, I'm your host for this afternoon's show, joined by my eloquent and beautiful co-host, Veronique Arsenault. And we are so excited to have with us Jason Cyrus, a very well-renowned, popular hypnotist among many other talents he has. So welcome to our show, Jason.
Well, thank you very much. It's so nice to be with you guys. I really, really appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, this is really, really exciting. As we said before, Have a Chat is something that we look forward to getting together on every week. But this is the first time we've had somebody of your status, shall we say, huge entertainer out there in the business. Everybody may already know you, but if they don't know you, tell the viewers and Veronique and I about yourself.
Yeah, well, my name's Jason Cyrus, and I'm a motivational hypnotist, and a naturopath, and a self-empowerment expert. And I guess my where most people would know me is from our stage show, our world-class stage show, and had a lot of success with that. I know that you guys are in Miramichi, and I absolutely love the Vogue Theater. It's one of my favorite venues, and I love the people of Miramichi. And I'm telling you, we have such a blast every time that we go there. I've been there 3 times, and it's been sold out, and my fingers are crossed that we give back in 2021 to see everybody again.
That's so exciting. And Veronique and I have so many burning questions of you. And I just want to, before I turn it over to Veronique, I just want to say that I'm sure you've brought to your own beautiful personality many of your father, the late Joey Knight's traits. He was a very legendary country and gospel singer that actually had an album produced back in 1985. And my parents for sure would know about him. And we can talk about him a bit later, but again, it's an honor to know that you're at all related to him and that he produced such an amazing son. So, Veronique, you take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's as Judy said, we're so excited to have you here, and we can't wait until you do come back to the Miramichi. I know that everyone who has been to your show has absolutely loved it. Everybody, please ignore the dogs that are wandering around behind me. It's just part of, shooting from home. That's what happens when you're having a chat at home. They're probably going to start barking there in a second, but every now and again, my bigger dog decides to twerk under the table. So we're just going to ignore that for now. Now, my burning questions, of course. So, Jason, how did you get started? Like, what led you to being a hypnotist and a hypnotherapist? And that, there's so many different things that make up what you do on a daily basis. But let's start with that hypnotist piece.
Yeah, I mean, that's the number one question. How does a guy from Minto, New Brunswick decide to be a hypnotist and make it a career? But like you said, I come from an entertainment background, and my dad was very well known. Joey Knight was the name that he went under. in country music and really popular in the 80s. So entertainment was in my blood. He was actually up against Blue Rodeo in the Canadian Country Music Awards. I know he was on the Tommy Hunter show, and he did really, really well. So he was just an incredible entertainer. But I was in drama also. Yeah, he was. Yeah, and he, like you said, he came out with a gospel CD. But we can chat a little bit more about that later. But when I started, I was about 3 years old when I first learned my first magic trick, and my dad basically showed me the old thumb coming off the the finger. So I was a big hit at parties. But from there, at 10 years old, I seen, of course, Peter Ravine, who's was a well-known hypnotist, and he made. See, your dog. I think your dog knows Peter Ravine.
I think so. I think she's pretty excited about Peter Ravine.
She wants you to hypnotize her dogs, Jason.
No problem. I got a little one too, so we could have a dual session with the two dogs. But anyhow, 10 years old, I seen Mr. Ravine, and I was just blown away by his show. And from there, all through junior high school, I was in drama and theater arts, and absolutely loved performing. As an Atlantic Canadian, I played a lot of hockey, and I ended up going to Ontario when I was 16 years old, right from high school. So I seen a hypnotist at a private show that we did there, and I said, "Gee," I said, "that's something that I could do," because I absolutely love theater arts. But I got made fun of a lot because I was playing hockey. I was a big, strong, tough guy playing hockey, and then I would go put on a pair of tights and become a troll in a play. But I loved it. I love theater arts so much. And when I seen that show when I was 16 years old, I was taking a grade 13 course in Ontario, and I immediately went to the library and found a hypnosis book. And I started to learn different suggestibility tests about a magnetic finger test. And we can do one later, actually, with you guys. And for your audience, they'll love it to see how susceptible you are. And I did a hand lock test. And
I have to host this. I can't be hypnotized. Jason, I can't be under hypnosis and host a show and be really wacky.
Hey,
so you continue on.
That'll bring us some incredible ratings, I'll tell you that. Yeah, from there, I came back home. I finished hockey in Campbellton, got into the gym business, and then I really started to immerse myself in the study of hypnotherapy. Went to the International Hypnosis Association, took that course, and I was downstairs. My wife didn't see me for about 2 years. I just loved it. And I wasn't a good student or anything in school, but when it came to hypnosis, it was something that I absolutely loved so much that everything I read, my memory was almost photographic, and it was incredible. So I knew that it was something that I had to do. So I worked a few regular jobs when I was trying to put a show together, because obviously I couldn't do it as a career then. And I finally stepped on stage in 2008, October 19th, in Sussex, New Brunswick. Scared absolutely to death. And I did my first show in front of 175 people. It was a horrendous show when I look back on it. But you got to start somewhere, right?
That's right. And, you have to start somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So from there, I was hooked. After that, I did my fourth show was at the Confederation Center of Arts in Prince Edward Island, and they host Broadway shows, Anne of Green Gables, and it snowball effect from there. And I'm just so fortunate, so grateful to be able to do it as a career. It's not easy, of course, but now we're doing okay.
Your name is certainly out there, and people just, at the drop of the name, they say, "Oh my gosh, he's fantastic." And people that have attended your shows, one thing that's really nice about it is that you don't ridicule or belittle your participants in the audience, because it's a clean show. It's a fun show. And I know probably Veronique and our viewers have been to shows where they've been demeaned or really embarrassed when they've left there. And I mean, you're supposed to laugh, and people say that you're gut busting as far as laughter goes. Their ribs are sore for days after some of your shows, because I've been to some of the other shows, Maybe not yours, because I think I've traveled every time you've been here at the Vogue, but in other locales. And I think to myself, no, that's not really what I love, but I would love to see you in person because you keep it clean and you keep it for the whole family for the most part. Do you, Jason?
Yes, and that's huge for me. It was one of the biggest things that my dad always taught me. And he said, never use the F word in your shows, and always treat your volunteers as if it was your daughter on stage. And it's a huge, I want to give hypnosis a good name because it's so powerful. It's so amazing. And I get really disappointed when I see artists not doing that, because you can have so much fun and you don't need to take it to that level for people to enjoy it. And at the end of the day, those people that are doing the filthy, dirty shows, they're just in little bars. And my goal is to do, I'm at Casino New Brunswick doing 2,200 people. And it's all because people go on stage, they trust me, and they know that they're there for a good laugh and they're going to have fun when they walk out of the door. I don't take none of the credit. If it wasn't for my volunteers that go on stage, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So I treat them with the utmost respect, and I make them feel like rock stars. And they are rock stars because they're talked about forever after a show's done. And I'm so grateful that I can do that.
Veronique, you're up.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about hypnosis and kind of the mystery behind it in the fact that everybody thinks that you put people in a trance and that you can get them to do anything. Talk a little bit about what you actually do for people.
Yeah, I was hoping that we would bring that up because there's so much misunderstanding about hypnosis. Let me just ask you guys, how many times have you ever driven on a highway and your mind goes somewhere else?
Oh yeah, like
Too many.
where am I going?
Too
And
many.
yeah, yeah.
You could be passing a stop sign. You don't know what color the light was. Reading a book is another great example. When you're reading the book, you become so absorbed in the book that you're not aware of your surroundings, and all of a sudden time goes by. People can even talk to you and you don't even hear what they're saying. Television is just a phenomenal it creates so much hypnosis because it's constantly giving suggestion all the time with the commercials and things. And if you watch someone enough watching TV, you'll begin to see them slump in their chair, eyes will get draggy, jaw starts to unlock a bit. All this is the hypnotic phenomenon, and we experience it every day. So when people say that they can't be hypnotized, or it's just a misunderstanding of, they're just ignorant to the information of what it actually is. And a lot of people say that hypnosis is just a relaxation of the conscious mind, because we have a conscious mind and then we have the unconscious. And our relaxation of the conscious mind is kinda what it is. But it's actually, there's a critical faculty that's involved with hypnosis. And our conscious mind, I'll just give you some numbers, is actually in a prefrontal cortex over our right eye. It's about the size of a quarter and it's in about an inch. It's a scratch pad of information that holds 7 plus or 2 bits of information per second. Then we have our powerful unconscious mind, which is the automatic part of our mind. It's our habits, our emotions, and our beliefs. And it holds 3 million to 20 million bits of information per second. It's amazing. So that's the part of hypnosis that you work with. So if I can just give you a model of exactly what we're dealing with when it comes to hypnosis, if you can imagine a quarter, and then you have a coaster, and your coaster is a critical faculty. And a critical faculty is developed from 0 to 7 years old. And it's basically the protector of your mind. It's the mama bear of your brain. So if I were to tell someone, a 0 to 7 years old, if I said there's a purple dragon out in your bedroom with some candy, the little 7-year-old will probably go out and see if there's an actual purple dragon. But we know the difference because we have a critical faculty, and it's developed. That's why it's so important to speak so positive to children all the time, because that's the part that's developing. But once you get into a relaxed state, that critical faculty begins to open or it pushes back. so that the unconscious mind can come to the fore. And once an idea is accepted by the unconscious mind, it becomes our reality. And that's exactly how it works. So a lot of people say it's the conscious that we're relaxing. We're actually relaxing the critical faculty. And when you know you're safe and you're working with someone that you develop very good rapport with, it's very easy for that critical faculty, the mama bear of the mind, to take a step back. Now, it's still watching you and it's still protecting you. If I were to say, go rob a bank, you're not going to do that because your morals and your ethics always remain intact. And in a nutshell, that's exactly what hypnosis is, the true definition.
That's an amazing and explicit explanation in such a short time, because I really did not have a clue how it worked. Now, Jason, thank you for that. When you go into an audience and you don't know anybody in that audience, how do you randomly select people and maybe feel assured that you can, yes, get them to work with you, or no, they're not going to perhaps fall into this hypnotic state?
Do you want to try what I do?
I'm really paranoid about being hypnotized because I don't sleep long, and we only have, we got to go to break pretty soon, but we only have a couple of minutes before we get back to that burning question. So let's just ask. We'll finish it up, and I'll cut you off if I have to. Just real quickly, answer the first part of that.
It's not an actual. I don't actually put you in hypnosis. I basically just test people. And I do a test with them to see how suggestible they are. And that is what I would do. It literally takes like a minute. And the audience would really enjoy it because they can do it at home. But if you don't want to do it,
when we come back from break, though, when we come back from break, I will share the story that I have actually been to see Jason, and he has in fact hypnotized me. So I am very comfortable in sharing that story when we come back from break, so y'all can kind of hear what that felt like as well, what that experience was like.
But I'm not comfortable with it. I'm paranoid about it. I think I might be in some kind of a state for 3 days afterwards. So, Veronique, you're braver than I am. No?
It's just a suggestibility. It's a suggestibility. It's a suggestibility test that I do with the people. And basically, I get people to interlock their fingers and their fingers come together. And the people that are trying to force their fingers to stay apart, they're the people that I don't want on stage because they're rejecting what I'm saying. And that's the demonstration that I show you. It's really fun. But maybe we can do it later.
But that would be me.
And
that would be me with the resistance part going on. Well, welcome back to Have a Chat. If you skipped out for any reason, you're just catching us, I'm your host for this afternoon, Judy Loge, joined by my vivacious and beautiful co-host, Veronique Arsenault. Audrey could not be with us because of her eyeball schedule with her work. But we are so happy and excited to have, if you've been listening to Jason Cyrus, a very well-known hypnotist, amongst many other things. And he's back to tell us more and more about all that he does. And Veronique has the next question.
Well, I guess we'll lead it in with my experience in coming to see you, and just to give everybody kind of an idea of what that was like. So everybody knows that ever watches the show that I had a business in 2013, and it was my heart and soul for a lot of years, and a lot of really tough things happened around that business, and I had and losing the business, and I had held on to a lot of that feeling of failure, that feeling of being inadequate, that feeling of just not being able to let go, how sad I was about those 4 years. And so in 2020, I decided that that was going to be my year to live it well. And part of that was I was going to do everything that I could to feel better, to do better, and to be a better person. And I really needed to find a way to let go of that anxiety that I was holding because of what had happened with the business. And so I did a lot of research and settled on Jason. And he doesn't know this, but I went to a session with him, and it was fantastic. I came away feeling great, and I thought, well, I don't really feel any different. It was a good session. I felt, listened to, and that was wonderful. And I don't really feel any different, but, hey, it was a great time. But I will say this, we're a few months later now, and I don't have those feelings anymore. It was a part of my life, and I've come to grips with it. And I credit a lot of that to that session that I had with you, and how you were able to walk me through letting that go. So I want you to know actually how appreciative I am of that.
Well, I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate you sharing your story. And I'm so happy to hear that you had success. And you're just an incredible person, and you deserve nothing but happiness. And this is a brand new chapter of your life. Keep up the great work. I'm so proud of you.
She is a beautiful person. She's a beautiful person. We're so blessed to have her. Jason, Veronique, thank you for sharing that, because I was kind of walking through that journey with you and knowing your heart was so sad a lot of the time. And so I give credit to both you for going to Jason for helping you through that. Jason, that's not a very well kept secret that Veronique and I suffer with insomnia. We actually suffer quite significantly. So you just touched on the fact of your story with Veronique that you did the private sessions. So aside from your stage shows, you do one-on-one consultation hypnotherapy sessions booked. You must be very, very busy then if you do stage shows and private counseling. But if we were to go to you to get sleep hypnosis, we'd have to go separately, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it with other people, but I honestly find I get a lot of people say, "Can I have my friend in the room?" But when you work one-on-one with me, I got your full attention and your full concentration. If someone coughs or a phone rings or something, you're distracted and you're taken away from that person. But once you understand what hypnosis is, and you get that rapport with me, and all hypnosis is a loop. It's just like a dance between each other. I'm feeding off of you and you're feeding off of me. And it's very, very safe. So to answer your question, yes, I always prefer one-on-one, just because the success rate is so much higher. And another thing that I pride myself on is people don't need to come and see me 10 different times. If you're going to see someone 10 different times for the same issue, you got to go see someone else, because it's not working. When you come and see me, if it's for insomnia or anxiety, and I deal so much with trauma and stress, especially with what's going on in the world today, with all this, during these trying times, the stress levels and the anxiety levels are through the roof. And it's honestly, a lot of people say, well, you do hypnosis for stop smoking or weight loss. Actually, that's at the bottom. Anxiety and stress are the things that I deal with on a daily basis. And
I
very,
so
very
believe
successful.
that.
Yeah,
I believe that you're successful.
Yeah,
But
I am. You're going to get my. Yeah, you're going to get my first. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just wanted to know how you were talking about the COVID and the rate of everybody being so stressed out and anxious. And I just want to know that, you're serving everybody else and trying to help them out, just how you were doing with it all, balancing your family life and your career.
Things are going well. My wife is home. She actually works with a Dr. Hussein at Allura Medical Clinic, so she's back to work now. My little girl was fine. She's 11 years old. She was on her phone a lot more than I wanted her to be, but it was a situation that it was kind of the only way that she could see her friends. So we allowed that a little more, but now she can see her friends, and we're so fortunate in New Brunswick to be in the situation that we're in. But she can see her friends now, and everything is going good here. I like I said, I really immerse myself even more over the next 3 months. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to study again, just with hypnosis and how I can help people. And as much as I love doing the shows with standing ovations and making people laugh and have fun, and I love all the comments and things, there's nothing more gratifying than when you can get a type of response when you change someone's life like Vero, or you hear someone that's not stressed, or someone that some traumatic happened when they were a child, and you know what? They're like, I'm detached from that emotion. There's no standing ovation that can beat the feeling of changing someone's life, and that's why I absolutely love my work. And I'll just keep studying and studying until I can change as many people as I possibly can.
Go right ahead, Veronique, with your thoughts for Jason.
So throughout COVID, you've because you guys were closed, of course, you're working out of Maritime Float and Wellness in Moncton, and throughout the safe at home portion of our pandemic, you were doing almost daily videos and helping people with breathing techniques and sharing your gifts that way. What's the response been like that for you, and what prompted you to go that avenue to try and reach people?
I wanted to do videos for a long, long time. And I kept putting it off and putting it off. And once again, fear set in on me to do it. I just wanted to make sure I said things right and make sure I did things right. Because I'm a perfectionist and I want to have things done properly. But I just seen what was going on with the world. And I have so many tips and tricks, just little things about breathing exercises and tapping and from emotional freedom techniques. I said, I'm going to jump on and I got to help my friends out here. So the first one that I did was a 7-11 breathing, and it's all to do with the sympathetic and parasympathetic breathing nervous system. And the response I got from it was people were so grateful because it really, really helped them. And not only did it help them with just anxiety, people were having a hard time to sleep at night, and people were doing this technique and they were falling asleep within 5 minutes. And then I had comments from parents. Parents showed their children, and the children were calming down. And then I was just like, I'm putting out absolutely as many videos as I can. So you can see these all on YouTube, on Hypnotist Jason Cyrus, my YouTube channel. I have all the tapping techniques. I think there's like 71 different videos now, and explanation of hypnosis. But I even do some actual therapy sessions for stress and anxiety. So subscribe to that channel, and you'll be able to see all that life-changing information.
My
Absolutely.
goodness. So I think it's just, I'm fascinated here to think that I might be able to see you in sleep again before I turn 80. It's a really wonderful thought that would be something I could certainly learn to benefit from. Jason, so you've been doing this for years and years. And so what do you want to go down the road and do further? You want to further your studies. You've broken into the stage now. You've done public speaking. You've private consultations. Is there anything on your to-do list that you're ultimately wanting to do before your days are kind of, your retirement days?
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna retire for a long time. I hope not.
No.
But I absolutely love studying, and I love learning every single day. And one of the things that I tell myself every morning is, how can I learn more today than I did yesterday, and have an absolute blast doing it? So that's the motto I wake up with every single morning. And I read books all the time. That just made me think I'm turning 42 years old, and I just got my first pair of glasses. So I'm going to have glasses for the first time. So that either means that I'm getting older or I'm getting smarter, one of the two. But
Smarter.
I really want to concentrate.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I really want to concentrate more on therapeutic work, working one-on-one with people. I'll still continue to do a lot of our bigger stage shows. I also do a lot of keynote presentations for conferences. I talk about the power of visualization, and they are life-changing, and they're so fun. And I just can't wait till I get back to do that again. And I do a lot of corporate shows also, and I love that part. But I'll probably concentrate more on just focusing on the big public shows and really focus my attention on helping people. I can't tell you how great it feels to come home every day, and I stay in touch with people all the time through Messenger and things like that. And I'll never get tired of just people saying thanks, man, and it's just, I'm so honored to be able to do that.
Beautiful. Veronique, you go right ahead.
Yeah, so you're talking about your bookings into 2021. So so you're going to spend the rest of 2020 kind of studying and getting ready for those. Do you have any bucket list shows that you'd like to do? Like any places like you've done the Confederation Center, but is there anyone in particular where you'd really like to go and do a show for yourself?
Well, I got to come back to the Vogue Theater for sure.
Well, of course, of course.
Big shows, yes. Like I said, we've done Casino New Brunswick. That's scheduled for 2021. I've been over to Bermuda, so very fortunate to be able to travel. As far as the big theaters, there's a promoter that's been talking to me and James Mullinger, actually another famous comedian, that wants us to do a big run down in BC. And James is just an incredible human being, and he loves Miramichi. He talks about Miramichi all the time. But they want us to do a big run down in BC.
James is going to be on the show in the fall. He's waiting until, well, at least we hope so. He's waiting until he's going to be able to be here in person. But we have had a couple of conversations about him coming to be on the show as well. So we love him and we're looking forward to that. So maybe the two of you can do it together.
Hey, you never know. But we have an opportunity to go down to BC together. And there's a promoter that wants to bring us down to a bunch of big theaters, and he's going to open with his comedy show, and then we're going to finish our show. And I'm praying for that. I also have some offers to do some cruise lines and things like that. Not sure how that's going to pan out yet. So we'll see.
But you have to invite Veronique and I if you go on the cruise ship for sure. We'd be hypnotized on the ship, I'm sure. Nobody would know us at all. Jason,
well, yeah,
what was your expression? You had a motto or a favorite quote, something about fear, and on the other side, the only thing stopping you is fear on the other side. Is that what it is?
You're close. Everything that you want is on the other side of fear.
Yes. And you did talk about your fears and jitters when you first went out in public. And I know from doing stage performances myself that you have that adrenaline pumping through your veins and you're nervous, but it's a good excitement. And they say if you don't have those butterflies, it might not be the most powerful performance. But I've known in the past, probably like you, that if you get that exuberance and energy, you're going to be giving it 100%. I'm sure. I can't wait to actually see you when this COVID is all over.
Well, I can't wait to see you. And the day that I ever lose those butterfly feelings in the stomach before I walk on stage will be the day that I don't perform anymore. Because when we do have those feelings, that means that we want to be the absolute best for those beautiful people that are out in that audience. And we just want to blow the roof off the people. And we just want it to be so good. And that's where those feelings come from. So we got to transfer those fear feelings into fuel and just go out and light the house up.
That's right. You have such an exuberant outlook on life that you draw people not just with your skill, but because you have that personality that's huge, and a dynamic person gathers crowds. Let's just face it. If you don't have that element of zest and joy for life, then you're not going to have that particular draw. But you've got it, and I know we'll be promoting your show when it comes to the Vogue for sure. And this show will let other viewers know what they're in for when they go to see Jason Cyrus, the one and only.
Wow, I really appreciate that. Yes, and I hope, like I said, I hope I can get on with you guys again. Maybe we can even get your guys' show. We can even do it live at the Vogue Theater or something that we could set up there. It'd be fun to have the backdrop there. I'm sure Victor would let us do it, no problem.
I'll host it. Veronique can be hypnotized. Vero, any last questions, Vero?
Yeah, Jason, what's your biggest piece of advice for people that are watching, especially as they're dealing with everything that's going on right now? What can you tell people to kind of, hang in there?
Well, at the end of the day, this is all going to get better. And you need to remain positive. You have to stay optimistic. And every single day that you wake up, you got to believe that something great is coming for you. And you got to keep that mindset all the time of confidence and self-esteem, and just keep yourself at a high super level so that nothing will ever bother you. But we will get through this. And when we get through it, I think that we'll appreciate life so much more. And I know that there's a lot of huggers out there that absolutely can't wait to hug someone again. I know I'm one of them. And I'm going to appreciate that hug, and I may hold that hug a little longer. And I miss people, I miss audiences, and I can't wait to we get back to normal again.
Well, all I can say is Veronique and I are big huggers too. And I know that this is one of the shows that people, if they've tuned in, they're going to have a hard time beating it as far as the material goes, because you've been uplifting, interesting, you're intellectual as well as talented. And again, I think that was built right into your genes with your late dad and probably your mom. And I hope that your little girl goes on to, you have one little girl?
Yes. She just turned 11, and she loves.
Yeah. She's 11, so hopefully she'll bloom into be the kind of person, both her mom, who we don't know at all, and now meeting you, Jason, that you are. So we just want to say congratulations on all of your endeavors, your success. You've come a long way since that little boy learning about magic, and we look forward to everyone turning up at the Vogue in Moncton, out in BC, wherever you might be down the road. And Veronique and I are thrilled to have had you as our guest today on Have a Chat. And so just bring us more. We want to have you live on the show next fall. And we hope that you will come back on.
I promise I'll be back on. And you guys were an absolute pleasure to talk with. And you do so good at what you do, and bring light to a lot of people, and yourself. Keep up the good work. I'm proud of you both.
Yeah, especially when we're not hypnotized. We're really good. So I will say goodbye for now, and good luck, Jason. And Veronique and I wish you all the best. So from us to you, God bless you going forward in the COVID-19. Thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.